The character of Jane Eyre stands as one of the most revolutionary and influential protagonists in English literature, representing a fundamental shift in how female characters were conceived and portrayed in Victorian fiction. Unlike the passive, ornamental heroines who typically populated contemporary novels, Jane is presented as an active agent in her own story, possessing agency, intelligence, and moral conviction that drive the narrative forward. Her character development from orphaned child to independent woman reflects not only personal growth, but also broader themes about human dignity, social justice, and individual potential. Jane's psychological complexity begins to emerge in the novel's opening chapters, where her childhood at Gateshead Hall establishes the foundational experiences that will shape her adult character. The 10-year-old Jane, who confronts her cruel cousin John Reed and challenges her aunt's authority, displays a fierce sense of justice and personal dignity that will remain constant throughout her life. Her famous declaration that, "I am not deceitful," and her refusal to apologize for defending herself establish her as a character committed to truth and integrity, regardless of the personal cost. The psychological trauma of Jane's early experiences creates both vulnerability and strength in her character. Her sense of abandonment and unworthiness, reinforced by Mrs. Reed's rejection and the Reeds' servants' cruel treatment, develops into a deep-seated fear of dependence and a fierce determination to maintain her independence. Yet this same trauma also cultivates her empathy for other outcasts and sufferers, making her capable of extraordinary compassion and understanding. This duality, vulnerability paired with strength, sensitivity coupled with resilience, creates the psychological complexity that makes Jane such a compelling and realistic character. Jane's relationship with books and learning reveals another crucial aspect of her character development. From her childhood reading of Bewick's History of British Birds in the window seat at Gateshead, to her later discussions of literature with Rochester, Jane's intellectual life provides both escape from difficult circumstances and the foundation for her sense of self-worth. Her education at Lowood School, despite its harsh conditions, nurtures her natural intelligence and provides her with the skills that will eventually enable her economic independence as a governess. The influence of Helen Burns on Jane's character development cannot be overstated. Helen's Christian resignation and philosophical acceptance of suffering provide a counterpoint to Jane's naturally rebellious spirit, teaching her the value of patience and forgiveness while never completely suppressing her innate sense of justice. Helen's death represents Jane's first major loss and her first encounter with the reality of mortality, experiences that mature her understanding of life's fragility and the importance of moral integrity. Rochester's character presents one of literature's most complex and controversial romantic heroes. Neither conventionally handsome nor traditionally heroic, Rochester attracts Jane through his intelligence, his capacity for deep feeling, and his recognition of her worth as an equal. His dark past, physical disability, and moral compromises make him a flawed figure who must earn redemption through suffering and genuine repentance. The evolution of his relationship with Jane from employer and employee to intellectual equals to passionate lovers challenges conventional romantic narratives and social expectations. The psychological dynamics of Jane and Rochester's relationship reveal Bronte's sophisticated understanding of human attraction and compatibility. Their connection is based on intellectual equality, mutual respect, and emotional understanding rather than conventional markers of romantic attraction such as physical beauty or social status. Their famous conversations, filled with wit, challenge, and mutual testing, establish a new model for romantic relationships based on genuine partnership rather than male dominance and female submission. Rochester's concealment of his marriage to Bertha Mason introduces complex questions about honesty, moral obligation, and the nature of marriage itself. His attempt to justify bigamy through his description of his arranged marriage and Bertha's madness reveals both his capacity for self-deception and his genuine desperation to find happiness with Jane. The moral crisis precipitated by the revelation of his secret forces both characters to confront fundamental questions about duty, love, and personal integrity. Bertha Mason, though physically present in only a few scenes, serves as a crucial psychological and symbolic presence throughout the novel. As Rochester's mad wife, she represents the consequences of passion without moral restraint, the destructive potential of unchecked desire, and the colonial exploitation that underlies Rochester's wealth. Her presence in the attic of Thornfield serves as a constant reminder of secrets, guilt, and the past's power to corrupt the present. Modern criticism has examined Bertha as a symbol of repressed female anger and sexuality, while also critiquing her portrayal as reflecting colonial and racial prejudices of Bronte's era. St. John Rivers represents another crucial figure in Jane's psychological and moral development. His cold religious fervor and attempt to convince Jane to marry him and become a missionary in India present an alternative path that would require the suppression of her emotional nature in favor of pure duty. St. John's character embodies religious extremism that denies human feeling and individual desire, providing a contrast to both Rochester's passionate excess and Jane's balanced approach to love and duty. The psychological tension between Jane's need for love and her requirement for independence creates the novel's central conflict. Her famous declaration that she has as much soul as Rochester and is his equal in the eyes of God articulates a revolutionary concept of human worth based on internal qualities rather than external circumstances. This assertion of equality extends beyond romantic relationships to encompass broader questions of social justice and human dignity. Jane's moral development throughout the novel reveals her growing ability to balance competing claims and desires. Her decision to leave Rochester rather than become his mistress demonstrates her commitment to self-respect and moral integrity, even at great personal cost. Her later inheritance, which provides her with economic independence, removes the financial pressure that might have compromised her moral choices, allowing her to return to Rochester as an equal partner rather than a dependent. The psychological realism of these characters emerges through Bronte's attention to their internal lives and emotional development. Rather than simply describing their actions, the novel explores their motivations, fears, desires, and moral struggles. This psychological depth was revolutionary for its time and established new possibilities for character development in fiction. The supporting characters, while less fully developed than the main protagonists, serve important psychological and thematic functions. Mrs. Reed's jealousy and cruelty toward Jane stem from her own insecurity and resentment at being forced to care for her husband's illegitimate niece, as she believes. Mr. Brocklehurst's religious hypocrisy and cruel treatment of the Lowood students reflect the corruption of religious authority when combined with personal prejudice and class bias. Adele Varens, Rochester's ward, provides Jane with an opportunity to exercise maternal feelings while also serving as a reminder of Rochester's past relationships. Jane's patient, kind treatment of Adele demonstrates her capacity for nurturing and education, qualities that will serve her well in her eventual role as wife and mother. The psychological complexity of these characters reflects Bronte's belief in human complexity and moral ambiguity. None of her major characters are simply good or evil. Instead, they possess the contradictions and complications that characterize real human beings. This psychological realism was groundbreaking in Victorian fiction, and helped establish the novel as a serious art form capable of exploring the depths of human experience.